In this week's episode of the heroic legend of Arslan, the kingdom of Pars got messed up. They got curb stomped by Lusitania in this week's episode. Over 74,000 soldiers killed, almost all of their cavalrymen have been killed. What I will say is, this week's episode is going to be defined by two words: Silver Mask. Silver Mask is definitely my favorite character of the series. That's not really that difficult though, because he's easily the most distinctive character of the series. His design is awesome. He's got this Phantom of the Opera metallic silver mask. He's got these scars underneath his face, which obviously there's going to be a big build-up to the reveal of that. But his fighting style is beyond deadly and incredibly brutal. He actually ends up killing not only Varese, but King Andragoras in this week's episode! Holy crap, that was ridiculous. And he seems to have some sort of ties to the king and something that happened 16 years ago. He's trying to get some revenge, and he's angry that the king doesn't even remember who he is, where he's from, or who he's affiliated with, and that leads him to kill him. The undefeated kingdom of Pars is brought to an all-new low as they are swiftly defeated by the Lusitanian forces. The other story that's going on in this week's episode is that Darian and Arslan are getting ready to go on this little journey to look for this guy by the name of Narcissus, who was actually banished from the kingdom of Pars, apparently, and basically, he's a badass. They explained that he took on this entire army by himself, but he's also an avid painter. He also seems to have this apprentice by the name of Elam, who seems like he's going to be the resident archer of the series, and I can't wait to see more from him because he's already awesome. He almost killed Darian and Arslan in this week's episode by shooting him in the face with an arrow. Really though, I can't wait to see who these other side characters are going to be. If the intro is any indication, it looks like Arslan is going to be sort of like creating his own guild or his own band of characters, and they're going to try and stop Silver Mask and whatever the hell it is that he is trying to do. I wonder if Silver Mask actually has ties to that one slave who was seen in the first episode. I'd say there's about a 90% chance. Otherwise, this was a pretty exciting, brutal, and badass episode of the heroic legend of Arslan. So what's the rundown on this week's episode? I really liked it quite a bit. The series really is growing on me. It's definitely a slow burn, but it's a very nice atmospheric burn that does a great job of introducing new characters and giving good characterization, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen after this. It was so obvious the king was going to be killed, but I was actually more disturbed by Varese's death than anything, because that guy is so freaking badass. There's always something about these old grizzled soldiers who are just taking on multiple people at once. He takes out so many soldiers by himself, but when he runs into Silver Mask, he just gets filleted. And I love the way Silver Mask attacks, how it's almost like he's like getting ready to draw a gun. He basically just pulls the sword out once, and then there's like this X across the screen, and it just completely cuts him up all over the place. It's so intense, and then he just charges against the king, and it's beyond terrifying. It's really awesome. But Darian is also really awesome this week. I especially love when he had this short confrontation with Carlin, the traitor, and he did this thing where he took out his spear, and he literally skewered 3 guys at once. He made them into a human shish kebab, and that was freaking awesome. Darian is really going to be the one to look out for the most. Him and Silver Mask are definitely, they're my favorite characters from the series. Arslan himself has a lot of growing to do. Really, he didn't even do that much in this week's episode, aside from just be typical old Arslan, which is to say, he's just kind of weak and kind of a pussy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's just the way I feel about Arslan. I'm sure he's going to grow as the series is going to go on, but right now, he's green. He's very, very green. Otherwise, the rest of the episode was really good, just showing the destruction of the battlefield, Lusitanian forces winning. We get to see some of the other members from the Lusitanian side, and how basically they're just these like really hardcore religious people who would just burn people to the stake. And there's this one scene where this one old guy is talking about this other kingdom that they conquered, where they killed the women and the children and they burned them. They also killed some Tusken Raiders. That was Darth Vader. The point is, this week's episode was really good. It was another great example of this big war epic anime series, and really I can't wait to see where it's going, because the story is really nice, it's well written, it's incredibly atmospheric, the animation is pretty good, and there's just a lot of different characters to get attached to. So if you're into like big medieval stuff, if you like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, that type of stuff, Braveheart, check this out. This is a pretty awesome anime series. I'm going to give this week's episode a 4 out of 5. I thought it was really good. But how did you guys feel about this week's episode of Arslan Senki? Did you like the action? Did you have a favorite new character who showed up? What do you want to see from the rest of this series? Please tell me in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching my video. Make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel, and follow us on social media. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay stay dandy, baby.